Some stories are hidden in the shadows. Welcome to DarkLens.
The rainforest was alive, not with the sounds of predators hunting prey, not with the roar of giant beasts, but with millions of tiny lives moving through the shadows. Beneath the dense canopy, an army of ants marched across the forest floor. They followed invisible highways carved by scent trails. Every worker knew its purpose. Every movement served the colony. For an ant, life was simple. Find food, protect the nest, serve the queen, and survive. But hidden among the leaves above, something ancient was waiting. Something that had been perfecting its strategy for nearly 50 million years. Something that didn't chase its victims. It didn't need claws. It didn't need venom. All it needed was a single microscopic spore. Invisible to the naked eye, the spore drifted silently through the humid air. It floated between branches and leaves, like a ghost wandering through the forest. Then it found its target, a worker ant passing below. The spore landed, and the invasion began. At first, nothing seemed unusual. The ant continued walking, continued working, continued serving its colony. But beneath its hard outer shell, the fungus had already breached the defenses. Thread-like cells spread through the ant's body. They pushed between muscles and organs, feeding, growing, expanding. The colony noticed nothing. The infected ant noticed nothing. Days passed. The parasite expanded. Slowly, patiently, silently. The forest moved as it always had. Birds sang. Insects buzzed. Rain fell from the canopy. Yet inside one tiny ant, a battle was already being lost. As the fungus spread, strange things began to happen. The ant became restless. It wandered away from familiar trails. It ignored chemical signals from its nestmates. The invisible instructions that had guided its entire life suddenly seemed meaningless. Something else was giving orders now. The ant abandoned its colony. No good ant ever leaves willingly. Alone, it walked deeper into the forest. The journey wasn't random. The fungus was guiding it toward a destination, a place with the perfect temperature, the perfect humidity, the perfect conditions for what would happen next. The ant climbed, past roots, past moss-covered stones, past ferns dripping with rainwater. Higher and higher it went. The forest around it grew darker. The air became thick and heavy. Every step brought it closer to the end. Then the ant stopped. It had reached a single leaf hanging above the forest floor. To humans, the leaf looked ordinary. To the fungus, it was the perfect execution platform. The ant crawled onto the underside of the leaf. And then came the final command. Bite. The jaws snapped shut, hard, locked around the leaf vein. Scientists call this the death grip. Once it happens, there is no escape. The muscles seize. The jaws clamp permanently. The ant becomes trapped in its final position. Hours later, it dies. The victim is gone. The parasite remains. For most creatures, death marks the end of the story. For the zombie ant fungus, death is only the beginning. Inside the corpse, the fungus awakens to its true purpose. It begins consuming what remains of its host: muscles, tissues, organs. The ant's body becomes food, a living creature transformed into a biological factory. Days pass. The corpse remains attached to the leaf, motionless, silent. Then, something emerges. A dark stalk begins growing from the ant's head. Slowly, it pushes outward, breaking through the body that once belonged to its host. The structure grows longer, stronger, higher, reaching toward the air above the forest floor. The transformation is horrifying. The ant no longer resembles an animal. It has become part of the fungus itself, a vessel, a tool, a machine built for reproduction. And the forest is filled with them. Researchers exploring tropical rainforests have discovered entire graveyards of infected ants. Hundreds of bodies, all hanging beneath leaves, all frozen in nearly identical positions, each one following the same deadly script. Every corpse tells the same story: infection, manipulation, death, rebirth. Seen from a distance, these graveyards resemble tiny cemeteries hidden among the vegetation, places where the fungus has harvested victims for generations. And yet, the horror goes even deeper. The fungus is not merely killing ants, it is using them to spread. When the fungal stalk reaches maturity, it releases spores into the air. The particles drift downward like invisible rain. Below lies the forest floor, and below lies another colony. Another trail, another worker ant, unknowingly walking into danger. The cycle begins again. One victim becomes many, many become hundreds, hundreds become thousands. The fungus doesn't need to move. The forest carries its weapons. For decades, scientists believed this behavior was one of nature's strangest mysteries. But then, they discovered something even more astonishing. This nightmare is ancient, far older than humanity. Researchers examining fossilized leaves found evidence of the same behavior preserved in stone. Tiny bite marks, placed in exactly the same locations created by infected ants today. The fossils were nearly 50 million years old. Think about that. Long before humans existed, long before civilization, long before the first cities rose from the earth, this fungus was already turning ants into zombies. The ritual had already begun, and it never stopped. Generation after generation, forest after forest, victim after victim. Some scientists believe countless species of zombie fungi remain undiscovered, hidden in remote jungles, waiting in ecosystems humans rarely explore. Entire biological horrors could be unfolding every day beyond our sight. The rainforest keeps its secrets well. Most people will never witness a zombie ant. Most will never walk through one of these hidden graveyards. Most will never realize that one of the most sophisticated parasites on Earth is operating beneath the leaves. But it is there, right now. Somewhere in the darkness, a spore drifts through the air. An ant marches below, and an ancient cycle prepares to begin once again. No screams, no warning, no escape. Just a silent command, issued by a creature with no brain, no eyes, and no mercy. Deep within the forest, the ghosts are real, and they have been controlling the dead for millions of years.